Welcome this morning to Yoga Hour. Sequence 1, returning here to where I always like to start. Take a nice, comfortable seat, tall through the spine. Close your eyes for a moment, step into the breath. My goal is to move at somewhat of a quick pace throughout the practice today so that we really see the entirety of this sequence. So already here, allowing the breath to keep that pace for you through a nice even inhale and exhale, and not having to worry about anything else. Be mindful of the breath. All month long, focusing on the very first of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is simply translated something like, "This is the teaching of yoga." Other translations will say, "And now begins the practice of yoga." I have another translation that says, "Now begins the reunification of the principles of yoga," with that thought that they've always been here. Every opportunity is one to reunicate. If you go on to just the second Yoga Sutra, it will say yoga is the cessation of the turnings of thought, which might be interesting to think on. Let's ponder that. Yoga is the cessation of turning of thought. We often hear yoga is union, so this is a different mindset. How do we slow down? How do we turn off enough to be fully present to begin? Nod the chin down to the chest now and rock the head from side to side. So if just for this practice, if just for this hour, take it on. Begin each posture brand new. Turn off the extras inside the brain to be fully present. Keep the chin down towards the chest. Take both hands behind the head and give a little pressure of the head into the hands. And then release the hands down, lift the chin, and open the eyes. Okay, we better get to moving if we're going to get through this whole sequence. Come on over to all fours. And from all fours, we're stretching right into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift your hips up nice and tall. Right into down dog here. That's a big swift welcome to practice, right? Stretch through. Feel free to pedal out the feet, shake the head a little, yes and no. Let out a few breaths. Begin. Look forward to your hands now and walk up. Walk to the front of the mat. Stay in a bent knee forward fold. Allow the upper body to drape over your legs. Still in a sense of release and heaviness here. And then ever so slowly roll up to standing. Mountain pose. Stand stately now. Lift the arms up to the sky. Look up. Interlace your fingers, flip the palms, press through your thumb, your first finger a lot. Make the arms as straight as you can and look forward instead of up. And take the arms further up and back. Puff through your chest. Good. Exhale, send the mid-low ribs back down, closer to the hip line. Stay here. And then release the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Step back to plank position. Squeeze the heels close, squeeze the glutes. Lengthen the tailbone, tone the abdomen. Look a little forward rather than down. Stay at the very top of this plank. Each time you come to plank, you can be on your knees or on your toes. Begin, continue, and end with the pose that works best for you, the adaptation. Okay, flat down on the belly. Hands back behind you, palms open, or go ahead and interlace the hands behind your back and lift up. Belly down, back bend here, locust pose, shalabhasana, all the different names. Release, press back to child's pose. Change to downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward between the hands for low lunge. Make sure you get in your full stride, so take a few steps until you've got knee over ankle, back leg lifted and straight. Okay, come upright, arms to the sky. Take a breath, feel the power, the presence there. Lower the hands back down, step through plank, toes or knees. Do a push-up, downward dog. Step the left foot forward, low lunge. Again, keep stepping until you have that full stride. Keep the feet hip distance apart. And then hands to hips, lift the torso. Stretch the arms up. Take a breath. Excellent. Lower the hands, step back to plank. Add in your push-up. Go to downward facing dog. Take a breath in and a breath out. Step the right foot forward again. This time, down dog lunge. So both hands to the inside of your foot. Spin the back heel down. Walk the hands out over that front corner. Now, friends, a lot of you are very familiar with the poses within this sequence. If you hear me call out the pose, feel free to just go right for it. But then I always walk us in and out of it as well. Okay, walk the hands back in. Let's step all the way backwards. Give the left foot the same opportunity to have that big step forward. And then down dog lunge, second side. So hands to the inside, spin the back heel down. Walk the hands out. And then very light on the fingertips here so that you can push weight heavy into the back right foot. Try to keep your left shoulder, inner thigh, right against one another. Walk the hands back in, lift the back heel, step forward this time. Half lift, forward fold. Stand up, arms to the sky. Keep the hands high. Crescent pose, hold on to your left wrist, reach over to the right side. Heavily push down into your feet so that you can really sway the hips away. Excellent. Come back to the center. Do it to the second side. Up and over. Back to the middle. Exhale, fold. We'll start to pick up the pace here a little bit. Half lift, step back to plank. Lower flat down to the mat. Now hands behind your head. Lift everything that you can up. To make this one more doable, try pointing your elbows more forward rather than out to the side. Sometimes that helps. As you lower down, press back to child's pose. And then into downward facing dog. Quickly step the right foot forward to low lunge. Come up to high lunge. How does the balance relate there? And then right back down, hands down, do a push-up, downward dog. Second side, left foot forward, high lunge. Lower the hands, do another push-up, downward dog. Take a breath in and a breath out. For the second set of lunges in this warm-up, it's twisted lunge. Bring the right foot forward, walk the hands to your front thigh, and take the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. If you've already got your body warm enough to squish down a little bit more, think outer shoulder to outer knee. Back leg stays up and steady. Work through the balance. If you're looking for more ease in finding balance, take the back knee down. And then you untwist, step backwards to dog pose, left foot forward, walk the hands to the front thigh, and take the right elbow to the outside of the knee. Again, maybe even squishing down a little bit further, thinking outer shoulder, outer knee. Place palms together, point the left elbow up to the sky. Try to regulate balance with the back knee up. If that's going to be injurious, non-helpful to you, you set the back knee down. Untwist and step it forward again. Half lift, forward fold. Stand up, arms to the sky. We've got one more round, much like this. Take the right hand, hold on to the left upper arm bone so that your head has a forearm to rest into, and then reach your top arm to the second side. So much like the crescent we did before, my forearm wants to push the head forward into more of a cat shape, but I'm trying to do the opposite, fight back against it a little bit. It's a push and a pull. And then go to center and switch sides. Up and over. Come back to the middle, exhale, fold. Much of what we do, one reason I love Yogahour so much is that it's a very progressive style of practice. Step back to your plank. So you get to see some repetition, lower flat down to the mat. And you can always do the thing that came before it in the sequence if this new thing doesn't work. So if Cobra isn't so great yet, you would go back to like the belly down back bend that came before. It's a way of beginning again and again with the place that works for you. Everyone, downward facing dog. We've got those quick lunges. Step the right foot forward, come all the way up, high lunge. Lower the hands down, step back. Hold the plank or add the push-up, down dog. Step the left foot forward, come up, high lunge. Lower hands down. Step back to plank, one more push-up, down dog. Full breath in, full breath out. For the second round of lunges in this setup, it's right foot forward again. Back heel down, hands to the inside as if you were going to down dog lunge, but instead, no-handed lunge. Interlace the hands behind your back. The best doable version is to come upright with that no-handed lunge. I think more difficult is head down, arms up to the sky. Pick either one. Try to square your hips towards the front of the mat, which means keep the right shoulder closer to the right thigh rather than waning off to the side. Okay, release the hands on either side of the front foot. Step it back to step forward, left foot forward, back heel down, hands to the inside. If you know you're going into that head down version, you could stay down and forward and just interlace the hands here and stay with it. Try flipping so it's the second favorite finger in front, then extend the arms. Just because you tried it one way on the first side doesn't mean you have to do the same thing on the second side. And then again, everyone release, hands on either side of the front foot and step forward. Good news, we've made it through the warm-ups. Come here to mountain pose, just stand up. Hands down by your side and take in how you feel. As a little aside, I put up a 15-minute, what I've called a yoga workout practice if you ever have just a little bit of time, still want to move, and it's these first 15 minutes. You can find that online. One more breath here. Take it in. How you feeling? And then we're going to take a wide stance. Step out. Use the long edge of your mat. Turn your left toes in. Turn your right toes all the way out. Extend the arms in either direction and do triangle pose. Reach as far as you can to the right. And then like a pinwheel, right arm down, left arm up. Reach your bottom hand to your leg, a floor, or a yoga block. Try to keep your top hand, your shoulders, and your hips all in the same plane, meaning don't let yourself lean forward or back, right into the center line. Push through the back foot to help you lift up tall and switch to your second side. Turn the feet first. Now back toes turn in a little bit and front toes turn all the way out. Reach as far as you can, hinge from the hip. And then left hand finds your leg, floor, or block, top arm to the sky. If you're looking for a steadying way of your pose, look down instead of to the side or up, and it might make things more doable. Okay, inhale, come back upright. Once more, turn the feet back to the first side, back toes a little in, front toes all the way out, bend the front knee. Warrior two, gaze out over the front fingertips. Keep the shoulders, the hips open towards the side, long length of the mat. That'll help us out as we go here, elbow to knee, top arm palm down overhead, extended side angle. Keeping elbow to knee for me feels really spacious and lots of freedom here. If you're looking to kind of test the limits of the stretch, though, feel free to take that hand further down to the ground or underneath a block. Just like in triangle pose before, use the push into the back foot and top hand to kind of pull you back upright, and then straighten the front leg and flip the feet again. That little turn in of the back foot helps to turn into the femur bone, making it perhaps easier to sit lower into the front thigh. Give it a little bit of dynamic movement and then settle in. Gaze sharp over the front fingertips. Elbow to knee, top arm, palm down overhead, again, side angle. Can you make your top arm even straighter? Yeah. Fingertips lower if you're going there. You don't have to, but you can. And then that top hand helps pull you back up. Straighten the legs. Heel toe the feet all the way to the center. Shake out the legs for a moment. 2 more big standing poses, half moon balance, and then warrior 2, something we've already done. So again, take a wide stance. Half moon today comes from that side angle, so switch your feet to the first direction. Bend the front knee. And instead of going elbow to knee, we need to take the hand all the way down. Probably, to make the hand reach the ground, heel toe that back foot in until it's easier to get your weight into that front hand, front leg. And let's launch. Go for half moon. Lift the back leg up off of the ground. Stand balanced and controlled on the front leg, front fingertips. Top arm can go up to the sky like we had it in triangle pose. Also similar to triangle, look down to make this easiest to balance. If you're ready to push that edge a little bit, look to your side or up. Even if you fall, the yoga mat's gonna catch you. And then you begin again. From half moon, let's find warrior 2. So slowly lower down, big full stride. Cartwheel the arms untorso upright and gaze out over the front fingertips. Voila, we've done it. Straighten the front leg. Turn the toes. One more side. And now begins. Don't let the second side be totally influenced by the second side. Something different is going to happen here. Elbow to knee and then fingertips to the ground. Walk the back foot in so that you can transfer weight into left arm, left foot, and launch up. It's all its own. Find your pose, breathe, lift the back leg, the lifted leg taller than you maybe first thought to, maybe a little more out to the side to give some width across the hips. And then if you can, slowly lower down and find warrior 2. So we're looking for that full stride. Cartwheel upright. Tone in the abdomen as you look out over the front fingertips. In full accomplishment. Straighten the standing leg. Turn the feet heel toe all the way into the center. Shake it out. We got a balance series here. If you want a hand next to a wall, back against a wall, feel free to move around. Lift your right knee up. And then elbow to the inside of your leg, crouch over and try to hold on to the pinky toe side of that foot. From that crouched spine, go taller. Reach your head straight up to the sky. Get straighter in the standing leg as well. Standing hand to big toe pose, Hasta Padangusthasana. Extend the leg out to the side. We'll open here. And the same open angles that we see in triangle pose. They all play into one another. And then it lowers down. One nice thing about standing one-legged balance poses, so they tend to be pretty quick. Lift the left knee up to your chest, elbow to the inside so that you can crouch over and hold on. So I'm saying pinky toe side of your foot. As the name of this pose is hand to big toe pose, you can certainly wrap around the big toe. I find it a little more steadying around the pinky toe, so that's my given choice. Stand up tall. That other hand could go out to the side for a little more counterbalance to help you out as you lift and open. Try to push down through the standing big toe mound. And then 2 feet to the ground. Next pose is very similar, but instead of taking the leg out to the side, we take it straight ahead. Find mountain pose, settle the mind, settle the body. The asana, these postures, are meant to ask so much of the physical self that cessation of the turning of thought is more or less inevitable. You have to concentrate fully in this balance. Hands hold underneath your right thigh or underneath the right foot, and make the leg as straight as it'll go, straight out to the front. So again, hands can wrap under the thigh to make this more doable and still fully absorb your thoughts. Come back in and down. Second side, left knee up and into the chest. Wrap below the thigh or under your foot. Stretch the lifted leg as straight as it'll go. Chest can go lower towards the leg here, as works. And then bring 2 feet back down to the ground. If not already, stand in the center of your mat facing the short side. Lift both arms up to the sky, bend your knees, sit into your thighs. Utkatasana, chair pose. It's 2 feet on the ground, so that's something. Stay with it. Doable in that essence. And you challenge yourself by how low, how long you choose to stay in the pose. Everyone now bring your hands to your waist and tilt your torso more parallel to the length of your yoga mat. Put your weight on just your right leg, tap your left foot back behind you, and lift your left leg as high as to your hips. Finish this T shape by extending the arms out in front. In that progressive teaching pattern, you can also just not do the last add-on. So hands at the waist might be more doable than hands out to the front, that sort of thing. All right, let's lower the leg down. Take both feet together. Utkatasana. Extend the arms again. Look a little forward, little up. And let's get it done on the second side. Go more parallel to the ground in the torso. Hands can stay reaching out to the front for that big challenge. Right toes tap behind you. And lift the right leg a little or a lot, up, up, up. You can go for a straighter standing leg as hamstrings, low back allow. Everything comes back in through Utkatasana, stand up. Y'all are amazing. Exhale, forward fold. Take downward facing dog. Walk the hands a little forward, the feet back. From down dog, 3-legged dog, lift your right leg up into the air. Pull the knee into your chest, hover forward, and step all the way through into our lunge. Okay, revolved triangle pose. Step your back foot in a little bit. I really mean just a little bit. Bring it in like 6-8 inches. And then spin the back heel down. Form a line from about front heel to back heel. Now, both hands to the waist. As you straighten the legs, bring your torso more parallel to the ground. With the right hand, slip your thumb into the crease of your right hip and try to draw it up and back so you're more square through the hips. Okay, good. Next, left arm out in front. Reach, 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 like warrior 3. Keeping that long spine, drop the left hand down to the floor. Big toe side more doable, pinky toe side more challenging. Last piece of the puzzle, right arm up to the sky. Think all the way back to that triangle pose where you're trying to get everything in the same plane, hips, shoulders, hands, legs. Walk your way out of it. Stand all the way up. Step both feet to the front of the mat. That one always needs a reflection breath for me. How's it going? Check in. If you're anything like me, I'm a little off balance. As hard as the pose is, I'm craving the second side. Let's do it. Forward fold, step back to down dog. Lift the left leg high for three-legged dog. And then step your foot forward to your low lunge. Good. Back foot steps in a little bit. Don't shortchange yourself too much. That actually makes it harder. Then spin the back heel down. Hands to the waist. Straighten the legs as you lift the torso to parallel. So I want us to get all this good set up. Extend the right arm out. Left thumb into the crease of the left hip to pull it up and back. These are the pieces we want to have in place. We'll call everything here from here on bonus. So right hand drops down. It can be underneath a block for sure. Pinky toe side if you want that big challenge. Tone and turn through the abdomen. Left arm up to the sky. Revolve triangle pose. Stay with it. And then slowly come out. Stand upright, little bend in both knees to stand at the front of the mat. Again, take it in, mountain pose. In my brain, a lot of times I separate sections of the class, so like standing poses, balancing work, done. And then we can begin anew. Here for lower down to the mat. Lift up, stretch up, and then exhale, forward fold. Keep the right foot forward, step your left foot back to a low lunge. Bring both hands to the inside. This is forearm lunge. Back leg lifted. Go down to the palms. Bend your elbows. And then left forearm, right forearm. Again, anytime your hands are on the mat, they can be underneath the height of a block, a stack of books, anything that gets you there. Tendency here is to want to round the back and look at your back leg. I want you to do the opposite. Think more of like trying to do a back bend. Soften through the shoulders, soften between the shoulder blades and look forward. Squeeze your front knee into the outer shoulder to keep everything steady in its alignment. A couple more breaths here. This low stretch in the hips. So good and so helpful for the progressions that come into the second half of this sequence. Okay, and then we're gonna walk back up. Heel toe your right foot more out to the side. Turn the toe, knee, hip out like 30 degrees. So now you get this bigger external rotation in the front hip. Lower the back knee down. Pull the left heel in. Twisted monkey. You balance on the left hand so that the right hand can sweep up and around and hold on to the back foot. Now, I like to stay on the hand, pull the back heel into the hip, hips lift to make that connection easier, and then open up across the shoulders and look high. Another challenging option is to go down onto the left forearm, much like you were before in forearm lunge. Slowly release twisted monkey. Legs always feel so heavy here. I'm just going to go back to all fours. Seems easier. And swing the left foot around. However you want to get into that second side, do lift the back knee up. So we're asking with that back knee up essentially to go into forearm lunge from a position of strength and fullness. And then you find your stretch from there. Lower, lower, lower. If you don't have a block like me, but I also can't make it down to my forearms, I'm just going to bend the elbows, get a little bit more time under tension to strengthen in the triceps while I'm there. Stay with it. Try looking forward. Use your breath to help. If you're low, come back up high, lower the back knee down. Twisted monkey, heel toe the left foot out, toes, knee, hip, turn out 30 degrees. Right hand up, out. Put the weight towards that right side to get more room to take the bind of left hand to the right foot. Again, stay up on the hand, a little more access into the twist. If you are feeling good, want that depth of stretch in the forearm, in the hip flexor, go down onto the forearm. Getting a little ahead of my words. Okay, and then slow release. Let's all walk it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank and lie flat down onto your belly. We get 2 chances at bow pose. This is the first one. Bend both knees, grab hold of the top of your feet. Spread your toes. Put some activation in the feet by pressing feet into the hands and lift everything that will lift up. Have the knees about hip distance apart, but you can play with it. What happens if you take them a little wider? Does it give you space to make this pose feel better? That's what we're looking for. The picture of the pose that works for you is the one that feels the best. Exhale, lower this down. Change to cobra. Place the hands under the line of the shoulders. Keep the front of the pelvis on the ground, but lift up tall through the torso. Maybe even close the eyes as you breathe here. Squeeze the glutes enough to feel protection in the low back. Try to soften in the shoulders and mindset. Excellent. Release. Press back to child's pose. We're going to side plank here. Come through downward facing dog. For side plank, balance on your right hand, outer edge of the right foot. Your left foot can step forward, good kickstand. Left arm up to the sky. Other options are to stack the feet. You can try that hand to big toe clasp that we did standing, but now in your side plank. And then go back to downward facing dog. And right into the second side. Another great option if side of the feet is too intense right now is to go bottom knee down as you come into side plank, and you could still play with the lift of the outer leg. Side plank, second side. Find your variation. And then everyone goes back to downward facing dog. Lower your knees for just a moment. I like to keep the toes tucked here to stretch through the feet. Sit back on your heels and move your hands around your ankle. Those aren't ankles, those are wrists. Around in circles and the other way. So similar side plank, but then we're going to take the foot behind us instead of in front for wild thing pose. It's a Katamakrasana. So if we all go back to downward facing dog, here's the thing, I like to do wild thing contained on my yoga mat. I only step so far out of the bounds, yeah? So I want you to place your right hand where your left hand is, which makes you go a little sideways on the mat. And then your right foot goes over to that left edge as well, and you do full side plank on the left edge of the mat. Now your left foot can step behind you towards the other edge of the mat. With that boundary in place, bend both knees, look up towards the sky, twist your hips up towards the sky, and try to straighten your right leg again. Wild thing pose. It can be as big of a back bend as you're going for here. And then you have to walk yourself out of it. Full downward facing dog. And now you go to the second side. So you replace the left hand where the right hand was. Walk the left foot to the right edge of the mat. Stack the feet. Side plank. Step your right foot behind you. Bend both knees to allow you room to twist in the hips, the shoulders. It's a little matrixy move. And then straighten the left leg. Keep lifting, lifting, lifting through the hips. Look back down if you looked anywhere else. And untwist yourself to downward facing dog. Lower the knees. You should be ready for a little child's pose after that. Come to lie flat down onto your mat and set up the forearms for Sphinx pose. So it's elbows right under the shoulders. I often see this with the hands way out to the front and you're trying to lift. Help yourself out by squeezing those elbows right into the sides of the body and you'll get more ease to get a bigger lift in the torso. And then staying on the forearms, tuck the toes and do forearm plank. Lift your hips up. Can you now slide into pigeon prep? So right knee behind the right wrist. You're already forward and down. Let the back leg go down again for pigeon pose. You might want to call this one resting pigeon. We're not staying here too long. It's a little strength and conditioning, mobility to get into the second side. So you again tuck the back toes, lift the back thigh up, and give yourself just enough room to squeeze that right leg back and try to pull the left knee forward towards the left wrist and find pigeon on the second side. Forearm plank again. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Enough space to push down into the forearms, get both legs back, and then you can fall down onto your belly. Remember I said you get 2 chances at bow pose? Here's the second one. Bend your knees. First option, reach your hands back, but don't hold on to your feet, and do this no-handed bow pose. Second option, like you did before, hold on to the front of your feet. Or third, walk the hands all the way down to hold on to your ankles and flex your feet over the hands. Any of those 3 options, Squeeze your glutes to help you stay in bow pose, Urdhva Dhanurasana. And lower it down. Downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, have a seat on your mat. Get there however you want to transition. Butt down, legs out in front of you. Okay, it's backpack time. Hold on to your right foot. Give yourself a little swing back and forth. Keep the right foot as far back as it can go and a little bit up towards the sky. And then wrap the right shoulder under the right thigh, or you could say the right thigh on top of the shoulder. The hand places down in much the same way that you would for cobra, and clamp your lifted foot down. So instead of keeping the leg lifted, we want to clamp down and forward. Should put you in a cat shape in your upper back. Use the other hand against your side and push down to try to get your butt off the ground. Put your butt back down on the ground. Lean back to get your heel up. Go ahead, try to rock back and forth. And then release. Second side, hold on to your left leg and rock back and forth. This particular pose is one where the progressive stages tend to really help. It's very pretzel-y. It's not very doable. So you find the stage, you work the stage that is working. Maybe it's stage one. Maybe it's just trying to get this crux of the leg up on the shoulder. And then little by little, you start to see that determination pay off. All right, can we lean back to get the heel up? Can we put heel down to get the butt up? Can you do both at the same time? And then everything goes down and we swim. Cosmic abs. Take the legs to one side, swim the arms to the other side. Forget about all that hard, pretzel-y hand holds. Let the breath, the music, the body all play together here. Switch sides again. And one more time. Lie down onto your back. Sit on your hands. Legs straight up in the air, leg extensions. Lower the legs. Maybe a foot off of the ground and lift them back up. Try to keep your feet glued together. If you notice within doing that, it's a little too intense in the rectus abdominis, go one leg at a time. Too intense meaning, does the belly button lift up rather than being able to pull down into the body? If you are making this harder, my first question is, why is it worth it right now? And then if you've answered yes, you'll pick up the head and shoulders, maybe even hands behind the head instead of under your butt, and slow it down. Slow lower, slow lift of the legs. You are here, you are in it, stay with it. And now hug your knees into your chest. Nicely done. Rock your way back up to a seated position and actually over to a kneeling position. As you come up to kneeling, hands at your waist, tuck your toes.
We just did all that front folding action. We're going to get into the opposite direction. Squeeze your elbows in. Camel pose, Ustrasana. Feel the strength in your glutes and look up towards the sky. Keep your shoulders, your ears, head all kind of leaning back at the same rate, meaning don't just drop your neck back. That doesn't feel good to anybody. Let the hips rest back a little bit more. Tone in the quads. And hold on to your heels. Still good here. Puff your chest up a little bit more. And maybe change to the front of your feet instead of tucked toes. Keep trying to push your hips forward. Shoulders and head looking up. And then safely come out of the position. Back to a kneeling, neutral spine. Child's pose, hands go down, knees wide, big toes together, push back, sit back. This is a funky one in terms of transition, but I want to try to get from child's pose into a wide-kneed garland squat. So I'm just going to lift the butt a little bit, tuck the toes, and kind of use the hands to change the weight so that the knees come off of the ground and keep the upper body mostly like it was in child's pose. So I've got inner edges of the feet together or almost together, and I'm trying to reach my heels down to the mat. Full disclosure, my heels do not get down to the mat. I've got tighter Achilles heels. That tends to be something that happens or doesn't. No matter how many years I were to practice this pose, it's probably not going to change that much. It's good to know those things about ourselves as well so that we can stay present in the practice, not get frustrated, keep the mind moving towards that state of meditation. From this garland squat, Bakasana, we're going to try to balance all of our weight on our hands. It's a crazy thing to say, right? So the hips need to get higher. Bend the elbows a little bit so that there's a shelf there to try to place your knees onto that shelf. Don't look at your feet, look more forward. And then before you just leap 2 feet off the ground, can you get 1 foot up at a time? If 1 foot at a time is working well, then try 2 feet. Push the weight more into your fingers rather than the palm. And then we're all simply going to stand. So feet have to go back down, stand up, mountain pose. Take in the breath. We just did that. We just did that hard practice. Let's take it into a cool down. Keep our mind soft and centered during the cool down. Have a seat. Soles of the feet together. Knees wide, Baddha Konasana. You can hold on to the ankles, the feet, or take the hands behind you on either side of the hips. Everybody keep the torso lifted. If it feels nice, close your eyes. If it doesn't, keep them open. It's the silliest things, but we've got to remember this practice needs to feed us, feed you. It's not for others. There's a lot of good byproducts that others get, but it's got to be for you first. And then pull the knees back in and stretch your feet out. Uh-oh. All right, my
my Zoom is reconnecting for the sake of our recording, I am going to keep going. Stretch your feet straight out in front of you and take the right foot in to the thigh like tree pose. Fold over your extended leg and reach towards your left toes. Real time practicing here. Keep going. I'm going to see if I can get my connection for the live stream. So from that seated forward fold, switch sides. Left foot forward, left foot in tree pose. And seated forward fold. Okay. Nothing like some technical difficulties to throw us off that absorption of the mind. But I'll get us back on track here. Come all the way upright. Let's take the right foot in, cross it over for a seated twist. Look over your right thigh. Try to take the left elbow to the outside of the thigh for the twist. And inhale, come back to your center and switch directions. Right elbow goes across the left thigh, lift up tall, twist. Inhale, come out of the twist. Send both legs straight out in front of you. Take your hands a good foot behind you. I like to turn the fingers out to the sides here, so I get a good lift in the chest. And then either two options, more doable. I like it this way. Soles of the feet on the floor. Lift the hips up. Stay there, or you try to go to straighten the legs without the hips falling way down. Still lift, lift, lift. Even press through to get the whole foot as flat as we can on the mat. And lower down, that's a quick one. Seated forward fold, so from staff pose, fold over, enjoy the stretch behind the legs. Nice stretch through a rounded, evenly rounded spine. Switch to lie down onto your back. Pull the knees into the chest. Knees fall over towards the right side. Look up and over to the left. Supine twist. And up and over to the second side. Come back to your middle. Give yourself one more hug. Any last little movement that you'd like, unwind through the body, take out the ponytail holder, whatever it might be, to find your final pose. This pose of stillness. A traditional Shavasana might be lying down on your back, or choosing to lie onto your side. You can take a seated position. Atta Yoga Sasanam. And now begins the practice of yoga. Yoga Chitta Vritti Narodaha. Yoga is the cessation of the turnings of our thoughts.
We do the movement, the funny postures to allow the mind to go into a state of concentration so that here you arrive with more ease and stillness. Friends, to allow you to stay here as long as suits. I'll close now in the sound of Om, but please stay longer as you wish.